Oops. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Let's try it again. Part 2. And honestly, I think I'm going to start doing more videos about what is going on with some of these podcasters. Maybe you don't want to hear it, but I think it's important because let's see. Give me a minute because I was just running around outside and I was using one crutch to walk around and I had to go across the street and the cars are just out of control. And I thought there was a law on this day that if you got a ticket and we're going, I think either 20, it could be 25, but I believe 20 miles above the speed limit, that automatically you can lose your license for up to 2 weeks. Now this happened to me. And I had to hire an attorney. I don't know, you can't even hire an attorney more. I hired an attorney so that, because I was making a ton of money, I could not drive for 2 weeks. And he lowered the charges for me. I mean, and that was when Bush was president. You know why? Because he included more and more things for various types of people to be approved by Medicare, which meant, or HICFA, which no longer exists because of either Obama or Trump. But he was giving more benefits to people to help them get better. He opened it up, and more medical devices were being approved by the FDA. Now, a lot were approved by Clinton too, I'll tell you that. And we had an open, it just became the healthcare system. Well, when I say healthcare system, I don't mean medical insurance. I mean, medical system. Okay. People say healthcare. What does that mean? Because they're killing you in these hospitals. So, but the medical system was giving more benefits. And then as soon as Obama became president, I was sent letters. Hey, look, we're doing price freezes. And unless you work for a bigger company, we're not going to pay you. You can't be on our list. I managed to take care of it because the purchasing people knew me and the doctors knew me. It didn't affect me, but it affected people that were after me. So, I mean, let's keep going because I'm way off track again. But these people think this was such a bad administration and about, okay, I know about 9/11. I've never examined the topic, nor do I want to, because it's so boring, because you run into this same record skipping over and over and over. I mean, Shaney, I don't know, if you were working and alive and in your 30s under Clinton, you'd know why people voted for that shit. And he won twice. And it wasn't close. I mean, can you imagine John Kerry or Al Gore as president? No one ever brings that up. No one brings up a lot of things. So anyway, I was outside and I had to cross the street twice because I dropped something and I was like, I'm going to get run over again. All right, let's go. You have to excuse me. So I got off track. Let's try to bring this girl back up.
That I can just see on your X account. Let me just allow you.
It's going to buffer.
Just a moment here to express what today means to you and the thoughts, the emotions that are running through your head right now today on this very important day.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you for having me on your show, and thank you everyone for listening.
We are going to deal with the buffering because this is important.
It's been, we've all been through hell listening. I mean, waiting for these files. mean, they kidnapped me 23 years ago. So, you know, I'm just very, very glad that more's coming out. But I'm also worried that it's being filtered because we're all seeing stories
23 years ago. Okay.
like, you know, Mark Epstein, Epstein's brother's been going online saying that, you know, they're scrubbing the files. And I do think that there's some stuff coming out, but I think there's a lot more that needs to come out. And I think what we need to look at here is the financial transactions.
That would have been 2002 when Bush was president, but I'm surprised they don't just say Bush was a pedo, too. He did run a good campaign. I actually saw him speak in person, and it was very impressive. There were so many people there, I couldn't believe it. But somehow he didn't win the state. But we didn't have voter ID. Okay.
It does seem that is part of the story that gets skipped over. Do you think the financial transactions are as important as maybe
I can't believe this. This is so important.
Were actually on the flight logs. I'm not saying at all that these victims don't deserve the money. I think all of them deserve it. But I think that this also needs to be looked into. There's a lot that needs to be looked into. We've all been lied to. It's quite clear. And thank God they are releasing more, but, you know, it's happening slowly.
you said earlier on your X account, tears are streaming from my eyes. What a relief.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's true. What did you mean by that?
Well, I just really hope that I am very grateful that there has been a bit more transparency recently. You know, there has been more of the emails released, more of the truth released. And I'm just hoping that more and more will come because I think that what we need to actually look into here is who was Epstein's boss. He refers to a boss. He refers to his house and his airplane as the house and the plane. So it's quite clear that they didn't belong to him. So what we need to do is find out who this boss is. And what I've been realizing is I think it's Bill Gates. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, you know, it appears that way. Because where is Bill Gates? Why has he been so quiet with all of this? Because I know he used to go to Epstein's house once a week for tea. So where is he? Why has he had nothing to say about Epstein? Why did his wife divorce him over it? I think he's the one we need to look at here.
Well,
You know, also another thing is, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The lawyer who represented me, David Boys, he also got Bill Gates on the
Oh my
stand. You
God,
know,
I'm
the man
sorry.
who ate Microsoft. You know, so it seems like these lawyers, you know, there's a lot of Gates on the stand. You know, the man who ate Microsoft. You know, so it seems like these lawyers, you know, there's a lot more going on here, and it seems like they're after Bill Gates. If you ask me, sorry to interrupt. Lawyers, you know, there's a lot more going on here, and it seems like they're
Okay, so let's look at that. Didn't Bill Gates get together with Trump at the White House and sit next to Melania? I mean, there is some weird shit going on here. Let's keep going.
after Bill Gates. If you ask me, sorry to interrupt.
Well, of course, we know Zorro Ranch, the New Mexico property that Epstein was allegedly trying to clone himself or seed the human race, were some quotes that we saw coming out in the press. Allegedly, Bill Gates had some role in whatever was going on at Zorro Ranch. On Bill Gates, you know, now Bill is all of a sudden he's against all the climate change alarmism. He's dropping all of that. He is cozying up to President Trump. When you see that stuff, do you think that is indicative that deals are being cut? Do you think it's indicative that Trump is bringing them in to cut deals? What goes through your mind when you see Bill Gates running around in the Trump administration?
Well, I didn't actually know he was involved with Trump, to be honest. So thank you for enlightening me on that. But I just think a lot of these criminals all run in the same circles, and there are many branches to the organizations. And I think what's happened here is that the criminals started fighting each other. That's all that it can really appear to be, with everything that with Epstein being exposed. Because when I was taken there, I thought that no one would ever know what was going on with these people. Because Epstein told me he was friends with Fidel
We have
Castro.
to
He
deal
used to
with
be on the
it,
phone to
guys.
George Bush and Clinton,
What?
and he used to
Wait a minute.
told me he was
What?
friends with Fidel Castro. He used to be on the phone to George Bush and Clinton.
Bush Jr., I doubt it. But hang on. Well, I mean, let's give it a chance. Who is on the phone? Gates or Shit. I wish it wasn't buffering, but we need to do this, guys. We need to do this.
What was going on with these people? Because Epstein told me he was friends with Fidel Castro. He used to be on the phone to George Bush and Clinton,
Which
and
George Bush?
he didn't really do much work. Epstein. Sorry, I know I'm jumping
Oh
subjects
my
here,
God.
but it's quite clear that these criminals were up to a lot of dodgy stuff, and I think that the Epstein business. I think it was more like a boys' club, like all the properties, because also the properties were all decorated in very different ways. And I've met many rich people over the years, and I can see that most
Okay. So, why did Epstein famously have a picture of Clinton in a blue dress on his wall? Was that because Trump was a pedo? See, Trump is taking so much heat right now. Whatever happened to him, he snapped. The fluid buildup in his body is severe. And it reminds me when my dad had lymph node cancer, it was really bizarre. And I was freaking out and trying to get people to help me to convince him to get help. It always ended up going to his lung, his right lung. But let's not talk about me again. I did get it to go down 100%. Got it to go away. The swelling. Once I got him treated properly, I had to step in. My mom hated me for doing it. She never wanted me to succeed in anything I did. She wanted to make sure I never succeeded. I'm sorry I had to say that because it is the truth. And I overcame those odds, but like she would always step in and do something to fuck my life up from day one. And I apologize for saying that. I know, Pete, you guys don't, because I have, my respect. I wiped her behind, I showered her, I cleaned her. I mean, but it's just still, that is something that happened to me. But with my dad, yeah, it's with Trump, he reminds me of someone that has congestive heart failure and or some sort of lymph node. Well, his lymph nodes are on overload, and I think maybe he has cancer. But we have no way to know. And with my mom and her health issues, personally, not with my dad, but with my mom, I noticed in 2015 she was hiding all this stuff from me, and she just started kind of losing grasp with reality. Now, I believe she had dementia. Owen did an interview with Dr. Drew. I know I'm going off track, but this will just take a second, where Dr. Drew said that if a patient is diagnosed with dementia, it has to be treated But if a patient is diagnosed with like alcoholism, drug disorder, mental illness, they don't have to be treated. So with my mom, it was like the doctors would call me up and they'd say, I got 4 or 5 phone calls from different doctors saying, did your mother ever get a dementia workup? Something's wrong with her. And I'd say, no, but thank you for bringing that up, and I will see what I can do. Well, since she would not listen to me because she was, I don't know, somewhere else. Uh, I would call everyone I knew to say, please, can you help me out here? And they all, well, my mom would turn them against me. Well, Colleen, there's something wrong with her. She's just so weird. And then she'd like roll up a couple of $20 bills and put it in their hand. I swear to God, and say, here, do something nice for yourself. So that's kind of I know it's 2 a.m. I'm going off track. Let's listen to Juliette and keep going here. But what I'm saying is, I think something is similar with Trump right now, where it's just like there is something off. Okay.
People have like a certain style, but there was no certain style among those.
It's going to keep doing it.
So I would say it was like a boys' club, and Epstein was the one who was blamed for it all. But I think that, there are even stories now that they're saying that Epstein was just a clone and Maxwell owned him and he was just a clone, which is like, it doesn't actually surprise me. Because he was very weird, and we know that cloning is real. Apparently in 1997, Bill Clinton banned human cloning just after Dolly Sheep was cloned. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to also the fact that there's something underground there, which is very obvious because, I was taken there and I know from the weird things that happened to me. I can't explain it exactly, but I'm sorry, Owen, what was the other question? I'm so sorry I jumped along there.
Well, I can get more into your experience, but let me ask you, let's just address it point blank. Is Ro Khanna's description of what happened on Epstein Island accurate when he says it was for rich, powerful men to hang out and have sex with young female sex slaves? Is that an accurate depiction from Ro Khanna today?
Not on top of the island, probably underneath the island, but definitely not on top. Because I didn't see any girls being trafficked to other men. I was taken to all the properties. The only people I met there were scientists and Michael Bay. I was also taken to Bill Richardson's mansion in New Mexico.
Right here. I was also taken to Bill Richardson's mansion. Okay, let's go.
And him and the vice president came out and looked at me.
In New Mexico, which is where he was from. He and the president, which was Bill Clinton. Oh, fuck a dog.
Mansion in New Mexico, and him and the vice president came out and looked at me and another victim, and
Al Gore,
and shook our hands and looked us up and down, and then they went into a big room. But I was never made to have sex with any other man other than Epstein when I was taken there.
What?
And also,
let's go back. I didn't exactly hear that. So Bill Richardson was he Secretary of State? We'll look into it in one sec because he's dirty as fuck. And if Owen had his little fucking punk brain in order, he would realize that Bill Richardson that she speaks of is also someone that took classified documents concerning 9/11 and shoved them in his underwear, was caught on tape, but was let go, and we don't even know what the documents said. Because it doesn't fit the narratives for idiots like this that were born in 1991, for just stooges. All right, I'm letting it out tonight.
Us up and down, and then they went into a big room. But I was never made to have sex with any other man other than Epstein when I was taken there.
I didn't hear
And
that.
also they opened up the whole trafficking case, saying that Sarah Ransom and Virginia Gifford had sex with Alan Dershowitz, but there's been no cases there. And Virginia.
Something about Virginia Giuffre and Alan Dershowitz, but there have been no cases there. Let's go.
Also they opened up the whole trafficking case, saying that Sarah Ransom and Virginia Gifford had sex with Alan Dershowitz, but there's been no cases there. And Virginia Gifford, God bless her soul, retracted her statement. And then Virginia Gifford had the lawsuit against Prince Andrew and was given £12 million. So if there were more girls who've been molested or sexually abused by powerful people, you would imagine there'd be more lawsuits. I mean, it would make sense, right, Owen?
So then what do you think the story is? What do you think we get out?
By the way, this is a very intelligent woman. I think this is a different interview than the one I saw. I could be wrong. I just remember it going down a little bit differently. But what a pussy for taking it down off of his Rumble and YouTube site. What a pussy. Let's go.
Of this?
Well, it's obviously a big cover-up, and I don't know how it's
Wait a
happened this way.
Did you hear her discuss Trump at all? I didn't think so. Yeah.
But it's actually a relief, because it's about time that people started to realize the truth, that we're all being lied to. We're being run by a false government. A lot of them are pedophiles, and they're not even human. I mean, I saw Epstein shapeshifted to something. People, and I'm actually very glad that now there's more coming out about that, because, I said this like years ago, and people were like thinking I'm mad or something, but I saw it, and I can't help that I saw it. I saw it. And I can't explain it, but it's quite clear that there's a lot more going on. I mean, even recently they've had this 3-eye atlas like circling apparently.
Wow. Let's just let it go, guys, and see what happens. If we have to start it again, we'll start it again. Fucking pussy Schroyer.
Experimented on? So then what do you think the story is? What do you think we get out of this?
Well, it's obviously a big cover-up, and I don't know how it's happened this way, but it's actually a relief, because it's about time that people started to realize the truth, that we're all being lied to. We're being run by a false government. A lot of them are pedophiles, and they're not even human. I mean, I saw Epstein shapeshifted to something. People, and I'm actually very glad that now there's more coming out about that, because, I said this like years ago, and people were like thinking I'm mad or something, but I saw it, and I can't help that I saw it. I saw it, and I can't explain it, but it's quite clear that there's a lot more going on. I mean, even recently they've had this 3-eye atlas like circling apparently. They want to frighten everyone. And 3-eye, I realize it's like the third eye. There are a lot of things about 3-eye, but I don't really know more about anything, but I do know that like I saw a UFO when I was taken to New Mexico at Epstein's ranch. I saw a UFO in the sky, and then I had this memory waking up in a laboratory with like 6 people with hazmat suits standing around me and a female doctor. I don't really like talking about that, but it's something horrible that happened, and I'm just glad that more's coming out. I know it's going to frighten a lot of people badly. It's frightening me too, but I think the truth is everything, and it's quite clear that we've all been lied to.
Do you believe that you were drugged and abducted and experimented on?
Watch
I don't know
this.
if they drugged me, but I wouldn't be able to say, because I've never really taken like hard drugs. So but I think I would have known if I was feeling in a different state. I think these people are capable of a lot more than what we realize. You know, like as I was saying, if they cloned a sheep in 1996, then Bill Clinton banned the use of federal funds for human cloning. Then I met Michael Bay on the island. You know, I'd like to know why his name's being kept out of this as well, because there's more that happened with him. When I was also taken to LA after this, and he
I'd like to know why Bill Clinton's name has been left out of this. This was very high involvement with Bill. And I'm sure Hillary knew about it. She didn't give a shit. Hillary was busy trying to figure out ways in the late 90s of how to kill off JFK Jr. Think that didn't happen? Think again. Let's go.
took me to his house and tried to have sex with me, but I got away from him, thank God. So if he
Wait a minute. I got
wants
away
to
from
speak
him?
about that,
What?
I don't know if they drugged me, but I wouldn't be able to say because I've never really taken like hard drugs. So, but I think I would have known if I was feeling in a different state. I think these people are capable of a lot more than what we realize. You know, like as I was saying, if they cloned a sheep in 1996, then Bill Clinton banned the use of federal funds for human cloning. Then I met Michael Bay on the island. You know, I'd like to know why his name's being kept out of this as well, because there's more that happened with him. When I was also taken to LA after this, and he took me to his house and tried to have sex with me, but I got away from him, thank God. So if he wants to speak about that, we'll go into that next. But the man who made the Transformers, he's he lied about meeting Epstein, but he was there, and I saw him there. So that's a big question because to ask
Wait a minute. Who lied about meeting Epstein?
because he made the movie The Island about
Well,
human
everyone knew
cloning,
that.
and the movie came out in 2005.
Oh,
With
movie.
Scarlett.
Well, everyone knew that. Well, for starters, Bill Clinton and Epstein both had lockers at Mar-a-Lago, I believe, or his thing in above DC, wherever that is in New England somewhere. So, let's try to get through this. I was hoping to do the original interview on a different platform, but let's keep going because I believe he did cut some shit out. He's just a pussy.
He lied about meeting Epstein, but he was there, and I saw him there. So that's a big question because to ask because he made the movie The Island about human cloning, and the movie came out in 2005. With Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor, and I met him there in 2004. So all these years later, after being given settlement money and having time to step off the hamster wheel of life and be able to actually do more research, I started to realize there's a
We'll get through it. What the
there's a
fuck?
lot more weird stuff going on here. Especially when he lied. That was a big red flag because he should have just said no, he was there, but he lied because the people from the Daily Beast contacted him and he was there. So he's a liar. And also, he met with the CIA, much like Epstein worked with the CIA. Robert Maxwell and Leslie Wexner apparently worked with Mossad, CIA. Epstein even told me he worked with CIA. Before I was sent home the first time, he told me he had my family's name on a list. He said he worked for the CIA. And he told me that a girl who accused him of rape, he had her sent to prison. He had drugs put in her apartment and had her sent to prison. So I was just very frightened of them. And I mean, it's quite clear that there's a big cover up. And as far as the files being released, I think they're releasing them to some extent, but I think a lot of powerful people are being very much protected, such as Bill Gates, because I think we need to look into that. Because, one of Epstein's assistants told me he was there every week having tea. So I think that's something that's worth looking into.
what do you think will be in these files? What kind of justice or hope can they offer the victims that were in D.C. today?
Well, hopefully the perpetrators get caught. But unfortunately, the perpetrators own the news, and they, own the people. Even like Epstein's brother said today that they're filtering the files. So, you know, that's a bit of a red flag, isn't it? They're probably going to filter them to suit their needs, because there are a lot of people involved here, but they'll expose who they feel like exposing. I suppose, like this whole thing with Trump, and it's so ridiculous saying that Bill Clinton gave Trump a blowjob. It just like actually just it puts everyone's minds in the gutter, and it's such a
Right there.
load of bullshit. And I don't know how anyone even believed that in the start. People need to read very clearly in between the lines. That I think that's the biggest thing here is that people need to stop looking at what's clearly in between the lines. That I think that's the biggest thing here is that people need to stop.
Today.
Well, hopefully the perpetrators get caught. But unfortunately, the perpetrators own the news, and they, own the people. Even like Epstein's brother said today that they're filtering the files. So, that's a bit of a red flag, isn't it? They're probably going to filter them to suit their needs,
Filter.
because there are a lot of people involved here, but they'll expose who they feel like exposing. I suppose, like this whole thing with Trump, and it's so ridiculous saying that Bill Clinton gave Trump a blowjob. It just like actually just it puts everyone's minds in the gutter, and it's such a load of bullshit. And I don't know how anyone even believed that in the start. People need to read very clearly in between the lines. That I think that's the biggest thing here is that people need to stop looking at what's put in their face, and they need to actually do more research. Sorry.
This is where it happens.
Well, I think the answers that the
This is where the naked kid comes in.
American people are looking for
My mom's looking at my little boy. Sorry. Thanks.
I think the answers that Americans are looking for here are, was there some sort of a blackmail operation that Epstein was running? Did the island have something to do with it? And was this operation compromising our politicians, media figures, celebrities, bankers, scientists, whatever? I think that that's the major story that people are trying to get answers on. What would be your response to that?
My response is that they are doing genetic experiments. They were taking our eggs. Mind give me a
This is the naked.
1 minute break.
Go ahead and figure that out. All right.
It was actually too bad that he got so freaked out by it. He could have used like a black square. It was so funny, and she was funny too.
It's about fitting, I guess.
Well, that's a stupid.
We'll let Juliette figure that out. Mike Johnson giving updates on the vote, nearly unanimous vote today. All right, let's see if Juliette is ready. You got your situation taken care of here?
Yeah, I do. I'm so sorry. Single mom, but what I have realized is that it's most likely that they were taking our eggs and that they've got an underground thing going on, and as far as the human trafficking goes, the way they also used to move every 3 days from country, like from place to place, they were definitely moving something. So, also I work up in a lab. Also, Epstein gave me a sort of pelvic exam before I was sent home from New Mexico. I didn't realize it at the time, but after doing a lot of research, I've realized if these bastards really do drink adrenochrome, it would make sense for them to have their own farm of humans. So I really think that that's what's going on. I think that underneath New Mexico and underneath the island, perhaps even underneath New York, let's not forget Bill Cosby, Woody Allen, they all live in the same vicinity. Bill Cosby, who was put in prison, he was opposite Epstein's house. There could be something underground. I mean, even in Cape Town, I've heard there are things underground. I won't talk about that right here. But, there are underground things, and there's a lot of stuff going on that people aren't aware of. And I really think, much like Westworld, the movie where they create their own sort of world. Even they said that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were spending time on Epstein's ranch.
Hang on.
If
just deal with it, guys.
Cape Town, I've heard there are things underground. I won't talk about that right here. But there are underground things, and there's a lot of stuff going on that people aren't aware of. And I really think, much like Westworld, the movie where they create their own sort of world. Even they said that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were spending time on Epstein's ranch. If they could easily, they could take people's eggs. They could use people for sex slaves. They could use them for anything they wanted, for human experiments. Even Oprah, who was on Epstein's island. Apparently, Epstein owned Oprah's network. When I was there, I was told that Epstein owned King's Network and L'Oreal, the makeup company. And King's Network is Oprah's network. And I looked into it, and it's called King's World Network. And, Oprah was friends with John of God, who also had up for having a baby farm. And, there are also people like Peter Nygaard, where they were trying to offer people money for eggs. It's even been put out there that they tried to offer Virginia Gifford money for her eggs, to have a baby with her. So what I've gathered is that these people were very likely taking eggs and creating their own farm of humans. Because if someone doesn't have an ID or a name, you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Birth children in secret and keep them on essentially a human farm. Is that what you're insinuating here?
Yeah, well, I mean, they could keep them on a farm. They could send them to space. There are many things that these bastards could do. They could keep them underground.
Who would have witnessed this stuff that can come forward? Would it be the women that were in DC? Who could provide testimony on these issues?
I think anyone who knows.
Now, at this point, notice how she is doing a lot of model posing here because she was trained by him, but he's cut this out, and I freaking despise him for doing it.
More about this would be dead by now. And as we know, within the Clinton administration, 56 friends of theirs have committed suicide. I think anyone who knows more, a lot of people that worked with Epstein have been found dead. Virginia Gifford has been found dead. Caroline Adriano has been found dead. Let's not forget that 30% of the girls who testified against Maxwell have been found dead.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were Jane Does. Well, the 2 of the 3 that put their names forward are dead. I think these are things that people need to actually look at because it's important. And, everyone's fucking half asleep. Sorry to say. But, we need to wake up and we need to look at the fucking facts here.
Yeah.
Well, tell me. Let's hear the facts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the facts are that 30% of the girls who testified against Maxwell are dead. Virginia Gifford and Caroline Adriano, both young girls who were given large settlements, were found dead under suspicious means, if you ask me. I find that very, very disturbing. The other girls who've been found dead, like Lee Patrick, Ruslana, the beautiful girl they called Rapunzel. There are at least 7 girls that I know of who've been found dead that were taken to the island and stuff.
It'll come. Give it a sec. Shit. I despise Owen for doing this. I will never forgive you. Hang on. Let's try to do something with it. Okay. We'll get it.
50
We'll get it.
6 friends of theirs have committed suicide. I think anyone who knows more, like a lot of people that worked with Epstein have been found dead. Virginia Gaffer has been found dead. Caroline Adriano has been found dead. Let's not forget that 30% of the girls who testified against Maxwell have been found dead. And a lot of them were Jane Does. Well, the 2 of the 3 that put their names forward are dead, you know. I think these are things that people need to actually look at because it's important. And, you know, everyone's fucking half asleep. Sorry to say. But, you know, we need to wake up and we need to look at the fucking facts here.
Well, tell me. Let's hear the facts.
Well, I mean, the facts are that 30% of the girls who testified against Maxwell are dead. You know, Virginia Gaffer and Caroline Adriano, both young girls who were given large settlements, were found dead under suspicious means, if you ask me. You know, I find that very, very disturbing. You know, there are other girls who've been found dead, like Lee Patrick, Ruslana, the beautiful girl they called Rapunzel. There are at least 7 girls that I know of who've been found dead that were taken to the island and stuff. So, I mean, that's...
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say something weird, which is totally off topic. But in my case, my personal injury case, my where I was almost killed. And I'm talking about it now because they tainted the evidence. They had built a case against me when I was just, I mean, I'm talking walking across the street. The shit that they can, I couldn't believe it. And I was told, everything you've told us matches all of our evidence. And when I got to the courtroom, oops, body cam footage erased. Oops this, oops that. Letters, drunken letters typed up and sent to the DA that were never presented to the judge. And I read it to some people in my family and they're like, do you think you might be popped off by one of these people? And I'm like, yeah. I said I did go through that phase where I was living in fear, but I'm not there anymore. It's like, if you want to pop me off, go ahead. But this is big stuff. But on a local level, this crap, yeah, it's bad. And we have Pam Bondi as DOJ head. Ugh. Let's go back just a tad. Let's try to get it back. I had to insert it. Yeah, of course they're killing these girls off.
Of theirs have committed suicide. I think anyone who knows more, like a lot of people that worked with Epstein have been found dead. Virginia Gaffer has been found dead.
He has taken so much out of this interview. Yet, I think this is groundbreaking and important. And he pulled it. This is on her Twitter account. He pulled this off of his Rumble and YouTube account? Why? Like right after it happened. Why? Because you have no guts and no balls. And you criticized boomers today on your program? I mean, this dude is a loser. L. Right there.
Caroline Adriano has been found dead. Let's not forget that 30% of the girls who testified against Maxwell have been found dead. And a lot of them were Jane Does. Well, the 2 of the 3 that put their names forward are dead. You know, I think these are things that people need to actually look at because it's important. And, you know, everyone's fucking half asleep. Sorry to say. But, you know, we need to wake up and we need to look at the fucking facts here.
Yeah.
Well, tell me. Let's hear the facts.
Well, I mean, the facts are that 30% of the girls who testified against Maxwell are dead. You know, Virginia Gaffer and Carolina Adriano, both young girls who were given large settlements, were found dead under suspicious means, if you ask me. You know, I find that very, very disturbing. You know, there are other girls who've been found dead, like Lee Patrick, Ruslana, the beautiful girl they called Rapunzel. There are at least 7 girls that I know of who've been found dead that were taken to the island and stuff. So, I mean, that's why I started speaking out on X, you know, online, because the media won't interview me. Like I did one interview with the BBC and they bloody well cut out Clinton's name. They didn't want to put his name there.
Wow.
They said it took away from the emotional impact. So they made it sound like I just hopped on the plane with this
I mean, are you getting where I'm coming from? Why is Bill Clinton being protected?
random man and went off to the island, and it made me angry because I'm not a fucking prostitute. You know what I mean? Sorry to swear again. But, you know, it's just like there have been too many things happening where, like, it's just been too much bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, here's where I think there's going to be a problem, and I start to see this forming, and I can see it happening after this interview. I can see it happening after what
Yeah,
happened
yes,
in
so,
DC
Owen.
today. You know, eventually people are going to see all the victims, and they're going to say, "All right, well, when can you guys compile a testimony? When can you guys
Yeah.
compile a?"
Why did you take this down, Schroyer? Why? Why? Pussy.
list? We keep hearing about the victims putting together a list.
Can you imagine a man like this joining the military and fighting for your country? Huh, what a pussy.
List, and yet we still seem to be stuck in this rut, waiting for Congress to
Yeah,
act,
we're stuck in a
waiting
rut,
for the
all right.
Trump administration to act. Is it fear?
Why does he keep bringing up Trump when the obvious person involved here is Clinton and Richardson and that whole cabinet and Hillary, who she just got done saying was on the island? What the fuck, Owen?
What is holding back the victims that we saw in DC? What is holding them back from blowing the story wide open?
I think they're all amazing and brave women, and I'm very grateful for them for speaking out. I mean, they actually wanted to fly me there. You know, they tried to fly me there, but I'm not setting foot on American soil after all this. You know, they tried to fly me there before as well. But I have great respect for all the girls who are speaking out. As we know, there are many pieces to this puzzle, and I think a lot of the people who knew more are dead or in hiding. You know, a lot of these girls are innocent who were just sort of, you know, pulled in at some point. But I'm very grateful to all the girls for speaking out because I think that's what matters. Is that we all speak out, you know, and
What
expose
do you
more.
think you were doing there? Why do you think they brought you in to hang around Epstein all the time and take care of him?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, that's what I'm trying to find out because they staged a modeling casting in Africa. You know, I met them. A woman approached me, Naja Hill, who now works for Fox News apparently, approached me at a bar and she told me that she was here with Epstein and Clinton and Kevin Spacey, and she told me that Epstein was like the king of America and his best friend owned Victoria's Secret.
Okay, so we're getting more names, but he cut a whole bunch of shit out. Let's go back. What? Oh, you know, Owen, I have no respect for you.
Out because I think that's what matters. Is that we all speak out, you know, and
What
expose
do you
more.
think you were doing there? Why do you think they brought you in to hang around Epstein all the time and take care of him?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, that's what I'm trying to find out because they staged a modeling casting in Africa. You know, I met them. A woman approached me, Naja Hill, who now works for Fox News apparently,
Nisha
approached me at a
Hill.
bar and she told me that she was here with Epstein and Clinton and Kevin Spacey, and she told me that Epstein was like the king of America and his best friend owned Victoria's Secret, and it'd be very good for my modeling career. I mean, let's not forget, this was like 23 years ago. I'm 43 now. This is when I was 20. And, I was very young and innocent. I didn't know what was going on. It seemed like a very legitimate opportunity, of course. I'd never met a celebrity in my life.
Do they
I mean,
use?
I smoke on here or not?
Do
Sorry.
they? Do they use? You've already created enough problems for me today. Do they?
Watch this.
Yep, sorry.
What kind of
Well,
problems?
do they?
What kind of problems did she create for you, Owen? She's spilling her guts, saying her life was destroyed. You won't post this on your site, and she is creating problems for you. You selfish, narcissistic fuck.
Do they use the modeling industries? Do they use these fashion industries? Do they use these modeling shows and everything else? Do they use that to recruit women? Is that a common practice?
Yes. They actually came for me when I was 14 years old at a market in Cape Town, Elite. I've got a newspaper clipping from 1997. My mother came with me to the casting and she said there's no ways I'd be able to travel. And then I realized later on that, Epstein Elite models, Jean-Luc Brunel, it's all the same sort of syndicate, right? They took me to Paris. I saw a lot of models there, but they couldn't really speak English.
So they use modeling gigs, the fashion industry to recruit young girls, and then they kind of mislead you thinking you're going to be a model, and then you end up flying around with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. Like they sent me to have my hair made blonde and have my teeth made white at Frederick Fakai, that hairdresser. They sent me for all that stuff before they sent me home. They kept like leading me on, pretending. But I never went for one modeling casting ever.
What happens a year from now if there's no, or I guess before I ask you this, what would justice be? What would you consider justice for yourself, other Epstein victims? What would justice be in your eyes?
Well, for starters, if you just posted the whole fucking interview, you little dick.
I think justice would be like everyone being happy in the world and no more bullshit like this going on. Just people, governments being fair, everything made fair, taxes taken, less tax, lower mortgage costs, free, like homes for people, food for people. That's what would make me happy.
Yeah.
Not seeing people fucking struggling every day.
Yes, but that's not answering the question about the.
Well, I mean, that answers more than that because obviously I'm saying that involves no pedophilia, no hurting people.
Do people need to be arrested?
It seems so. I mean, they need their power taken away from them. That's for sure. I think the right people should be put in power because all you need to do with these assholes is take away their money.
So anybody that was involved with Epstein and knew of this should not be in any position of power or influence.
No,
Well,
I would take away their money and give it to the poor, like Robin Hood. I mean, that would be like justice for me. And yeah, I mean, if they've hurt children, then they must be killed. Anyone who's hurt a child must be killed.
What do you do? What happens? What happens if we're here in just under a year before the midterms and we still haven't gotten anything from the files? Nothing has advanced. What happens then?
Riots. It's already starting. There are going to be riots all over the world. It's quite clear. People have had enough.
You think that's going to be a result of Epstein cover-up?
No.
I think it's a result of political bullshit and the way they steal from people. But I mean, the Epstein cover-up's part of it, but it's a lot deeper than that.
I mean, does Owen have a mental problem? We're talking about Bill Clinton here, Hillary Clinton, Bill Richardson, and Bill Gates. I don't see how the public is going to keep trying to throw Trump into this.
Well, what would you what final words would you leave to my audience and this major development today with the House moving the files forward to the Senate now? There could be a vote tonight. I'd be shocked if there were, but there could be. What is your final word today?
Well, I just send everyone lots of love, and I think the most important thing is that we look after our families and focus on our good values in life. And I know we all have our issues, but let's just try to be good people, right? Is that okay? I mean, what else can I say? I mean, obviously, let's hope that the government will get sorted out, which is happening. But most importantly,
Well, he cut so much out this
people.
just like
And also spend time off your phones, you know? The thing is to look at the stuff that's important. Don't get stuck on TikTok and all this stuff. You know, focus on what's important. Do your own research. Watch people like Owen.
Yeah.
Well, here's
Owen became a huge failure for me. And has no energy. 6 weeks into his new job, he has no passion for what he's even doing. You have to excuse me. You will hear water running in the background. I'm trying to clean something up. It's not my body. It's my kitchen. So I sorry.
here's my fear, and I've seen it happen with other political.
Oh, have you? You're so smart. You
issues.
Fucker.
I think ultimately the government is going to let us down, and I think a lot of this is going to land on the shoulders of.
It already has. She said this shit started in the 90s under Clinton. This shit started for her 23 years ago. What's your problem? You dumbass. You weren't even born then, you stupid ass.
Of the survivors, the witnesses, anybody that has direct information or experience with whatever was going on there.
Well, you just pull it down off your channel, won't you little coward?
And eventually, if those people don't speak up, the rest of the world is just going to forget.
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
You're completely right. That's why I've been trying to speak out for ages. You know, the media won't interview me, so I had to start speaking on it.
But then you
So, I mean, I've released all the names I know, and I just hope that the other people do the same. I've been very honest about what happened to me, and I think it's about time others did the same. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree. And that's why, I can't imagine what's going through these women's minds and hearts as this is going on. But I feel like there's only so many times we can have them all gathered in D.C. and still leave with the same questions as before. It's like, I don't have.
This man claims to be a big Rush Limbaugh fan, yet in 1991 he was born. And he still seems to think that Trump is heavily involved in this, where she's saying this is bullshit. Trump is covering for everyone right now, and he's not doing the world any good, but it's kind of like this generation seems to forget the predecessors were terrible. Oh gosh, I dropped something. Okay. The predecessors, I mean, Clinton is the main player here, but no one even talks about it, remembers it. Shit.
Have much faith in the government to deliver, and so eventually it's going to come up to human intel and the people that actually saw the things to make it.
Pull it down off your channel, won't you?
I wish more of them would speak out, but I'm also very grateful for Thomas Massey. He seems like a good guy. You know, he's
he did seem like a good guy, but he got married, and I guarantee you she's a lot younger. She's about the age of his kids, I think. And she's already made him change his hair to the part on the side Brill cream. And hooked him in just a couple of months after the death of his first wife. And I think he's going to flip. Watch it happen.
Sustainable. I like the way he lives off the grid. He seems like a good person. I mean, I don't really know much about American politics apart from that, you know, a lot of them are corrupt, but he seems
They all are.
decent. But I don't know him personally. But I just think that the best thing is that we just like focus on goodness and look after each other and not listen to all the bullshit we're told. Firstly, don't listen to the fucking news. Sorry to swear again. You know, rather focus on the truth. You know, your inner truth, and also what the truth, like what Owen says, and what a lot of other people are saying. Like, find the right people to follow, and just realize that you're being lied to a lot of the time. Basically, like if you see something you think it's true, just like fact check it 10 times first, right?
20.
All right. Well, get back to your motherly duties there. I guess your babysitter let you down today. She let us all down today. I got a bone.
You know, my little boy's power.
I got a bone to pick with that deal.
Fuck yourself.
Good Lord, Juliette. All right. Thank you for your time. God bless. Godspeed. And we'll stay in touch as this drama.
So this woman is giving
unfolds.
you a major interview, giving you information that you clearly aren't going to take a look at and disseminate. Excuse the pun. And you're worried about someone fucking up your life at week 6 on the worst 6 people watching on one of the most boring internet shows, and you pull it down? You're a coward. You are a coward. All right, so I'm going to cut out. I am putting this on child protection or whatever. She left out a hell of a lot. It's clear to me if you could have seen the original one, but coward wouldn't put it up. But then he's acting like he's a victim because of her. So this person just lost my respect. We're going to pick this up tomorrow. We're going to talk about Bill Richardson. We're going to keep going. But he's on my shit list. All right. Talk to you later.